Good evening, everyone. My name is Kruti Garg, and I'm a conservation architect. Today, I'm going to speak to you about why old places matter here on AVIDOnline, where learning never stops. Culture evokes different feelings for everyone. And to me, culture is not just a story about stones and bricks in the field of heritage conservation. What it really does and means is the connect of intertwined histories across the world, the intercultural dialogue, and the language that it has imparted because of this to our cities that stand today. And this is exactly what heritage means to me, is of places, of monuments, of structures, of living architecture, of tangible forms and intangible forms, which have been part of this continuum, which can trigger memories and most essentially are landmarks of our identity. There's a beautiful saying which I completely believe in, and it says, "The past is not the past, it is still passing by." Each site comes with its own challenges and is individually as important as it is collectively. And most often, we find ourselves on the crossroads where conservation is dealt with is not considered pro-development. Heritage is a cumulative memory of the entire humankind and the one tangible proof of what was. It anchors us to a place and it gives us our identity. As conservation architects, we often find ourselves in the realm of future and the past, where we try and bridge the gap of what the intent of the original creator was to that of what the requirements of the current owner/user are within the restraints of the historic property that we are working with. I have been working as director conservation with a firm called Abhanarayan Lumber Associates for the last 15 years, and I've handled a series of projects in Mumbai and outside, ranging from the restoration of the Asiatic Library, the Bombay Municipal Headquarters, the Bharatpur Museum in Rajasthan, the Gold Market Museum in New Delhi, to name a few. In this list, the one project that I'm going to talk to you about today is my ultimate favorite one, which is that of the restoration of the Royal Opera House in Mumbai itself. The first phase of restoration, which took care of the complete structural upgradation, the roof restoration, the facade restoration, somewhere in between 2009 and 2011, take up the next phase of restoration works, which was to put back the building into its original use and make it a multidisciplinary, a multicultural performing space for the city of Mumbai. This image here shows us the old photograph of the Royal Opera House before the restoration works were undertaken, where you can see a lot of ficus on the building. The entire balconies were structurally supported through I-beams and I-sections. And this was after the restoration, where the complete facade was cleaned, the details were repaired, the doors and windows were restored, and the weather shades added. This is a picture of the insides of the main hall, which at some point when the building was changed its use from the opera house to a cinema, they had removed the existing balconies, the side balconies where there used to be seating, and ripped off the original ceiling. Although the original framework of the ceiling was still in place, but the complete look of the ceiling had changed. And this is what it looked like when we started work. And this is what it looks now after the restoration work is done, where the complete ceiling was restored, the details were fitted in, the entire AC system, which was required for the building of today's performing as a performing space for today's standards, was added within the ceiling, above the ceiling. The side balconies were brought back based on the archival images. We were really fortunate to find a book, a very old book published in 1916, when the Opera House had just opened, called Territorials in India, which gave a very detailed account of the interior of the Opera House. And most of our archival research comes in from that book. Apart from watching a lot of Hindi movies, which have been shot here at the Opera House, which also gave us cues as to what were the proportions of the side balconies, what were the details that we had to embellish it with, and the ornamentation required. This is the foyer, the entrance foyer, and where the complete flooring had to be redone because it was broken off. And the complete color scheme was changed based on the original accounts and the paint scrapes which were done while the works were going on, removing the layers and layers of paints and coming down to the original color as intended when it was designed. And this is how it looks today, with the complete restored ceilings, the doors, the canvases, the prints, the art, and the flooring. As conservation architects, I think our primary aim is to retain the stock of heritage buildings that we have, to be able to lease life into them, to be able to make it relevant in today's time and context. And to me, adaptive reuse is one of the best ways that one can restore structures, conserve them for the future and for posterity. Another one of my favorite projects is way back in 1986, which in the city of Paris, when the Gare d'Orsay, which was a railway station, was converted into Museum d'Orsay to house that 19th century art in Paris in a 19th century railway station. This to me, and the way the entire project has been handled and designed, truly exemplifies how an old space, a redundant space, can be leased life into, which becomes so relevant in today's time and context. Also acts as a window to the past of that city's fabric. The other one project, which is also very close to my heart, is that I recently worked upon with A&L Associates, was the reconstruction of the Choti Chopper in the city of Jaipur. The entire project really was that of putting a metro line under the historic city of Jaipur, which would start from Chandpur Gate and go under through the pink city of Jaipur, and cross over at a junction called Choti Chopper and Badi Chopper, under which there were going to be stations. While we were doing that, and they had to cut open the area where to house the station at Choti Chopper at that junction. And we started dismantling the road and everything. What we found was a 19th century kund, or a water body, which was hidden for a period of 100 years. And nobody in the living memory of Jaipur as a city knew that there was a kund there. This is when we started searching our synergy between a completely modern infrastructure project, which was finding its way cutting through the historic city of Jaipur for easing our traffic snarls and giving public transport to people coming into the heritage city of Jaipur, gave way to finding an old missing link into the city of Jaipur, and then we put it back in the city's fabric.